What's up, Chad? How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, old friend. How about you?
Doing good. Doing good. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too, man. Glad you
Yeah.
asked me to do this. Seems like the thing to do these days. So
Right? It's easier than getting together and going and having a beer anymore sometimes. Huh?
yeah. Luckily, where I live, it's got a few friends. I could just walk down the street, have a couple beers and some wings, and walk back. Go to sleep real early. Yeah, it's pretty cool because it really hasn't changed all that much. I mean, the Strand obviously has, and the different shops have changed a little bit, but it's still looks the same. A lot of memories, a lot of good memories there.
Yeah. A
I
lot.
walked down that alley where Java Blues used to be. I remember climbing up the wall, up onto the roof, and being mischievous up there at like 13 years old. Hacky sack, lots of hacky sacking. But yeah, no, a
So
lot of
much
good
hacky
memories.
sacking. Yeah, that was having Cormier coffee shop on one side and then Java Blues on the other side.
Yeah.
And this is, Marietta Square for anyone listening.
Mm-hmm.
And back then there was a huge police complex that's there now. You can call it kind of the Mall of
Yeah, the
it's
courthouse.
courthouse, everything. Yeah, back then it was the club that we worked at, the Strand, and then Charades, another club next door. And I mean, when we'd first met, we weren't even really. I was working like in the studio there. I'd met you through different musicians and bands coming through. I believe is the
Mhm.
way we met. And I mean,
Yeah,
it was
you're
the
a
first
lot older
place I
than me,
really
so
went when I came to. You shut your mouth. And I'm only 90. Just a number.
Mhm.
But no, that's what main things down there is a lot of bums. But it, they were cool bums. It's like
Yeah, it
there
was a
wasn't
different
violence.
caliber.
It wasn't even really, yeah. And we would everyone was cool. It was kind of like little 5 Points wanted to be, maybe. Back in the day with little 5 Points, it was cool in so ways too. But it just seemed like there was always, no matter where you went, you were getting hit up for money and hit up for money and hit up for money. Where there, I think we were all kind of equally broke in our own way, Our musicians, whatever, but we all just made things work. And I mean, I remember when living there at the Strand, working in the studio with Eric, some nights here we are, you think making good money, recording studio. I mean, being down to the bare money to where be like the Crystals down the road. Hey, we just went through the drive-through and we're a couple crystals short. Come on by. Come and we're walking through the drive-through. Like, here you go. Thank you.
Do
Nothing
you
weird about
do you
that.
remember what year that was?
96 maybe.
I always match it up with 1996. The Olympics were in Centennial Park,
Oh yes.
and we knew each other before then. I'm still thinking it's probably like 94, something like that.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah, because that's what messed me up. I went to night school in Lakeland, and finished early to be able to go to Full Sail I couldn't afford staying the whole time because of, the whole living on
Mhm.
my own and getting that settlement that I blew on a Harley and spending that pretty quick and then have to,
Well, real
figure
quick,
life
tell
out
me
much
tell me about.
faster.
I know about
And
it,
then
but
finally,
well, real quick, run down the what the settlement was for, just like a real quick
sure.
high level overview.
I was in a Alright. I was 15, and I was in a car. I was out skateboarding, and, some friends picked me up at post office, right there in Stigler, Oklahoma, and we went out to this haunted house that we would go, hang out at and, just goof off and be when you live in those small country towns, that's, your highlights, cool little places out there in the middle of nowhere. And we went out there. I don't remember too much because, there was quite a concussion and stuff that went with this. But all I know is we were driving back, and the driver, two girls in the front, and then I'm in the back seat, back passenger side, and another young lady next to me. And we what the story is that has been pieced together through everything is we hit a pothole. This was when the Mustang 5.0s came out, kind of like around the old Vanilla Ice, my 5.0, but it wasn't the convertible. But we hit a pothole, and it made the airbag deploy. And Jessica, the driver, she couldn't see anything, and she hit the gas instead of the brake. And we were already going, pretty decent speed, I'm sure, to where going even faster, and we went off a bridge. And when we went off this bridge, we're turning. And the reason we're getting this other visual view is because there was a guy who owned, uh, a bunch of property out there, a farm, and he was out there and saw us go off the bridge and flipping. And he said it looked like angels were like pulling us out of the vehicle one by one and placing us. And because all of us that were ejected from the car, which was three, were pulled out of the driver's side window, front window, which is weird because, again, I was in the back passenger side. But, as it's turning, we're one, two, three. And I landed right in barbed wire fence with poison ivy. So, yeah, I wish that angel would have maybe placed me a little further or somewhere different. But unfortunately, if that would have happened, I could have been just like the other girl that landed right over by, and she unfortunately passed. We were all really messed up. Um, I'm only really speaking of myself, and it was shattered pelvis, broken leg in half, shattered elbows, um, real bad concussion. When I get, they take us, because that person's seeing us, thank God. They came out and got us, but they ended up life flighting us. No, life flighting me, I know. My parents even trying, when they find out later, they're having to drive, like 45 minutes or so to the hospital. They end up getting pulled over and harassed about speeding with their hazards on, and told, well, you're going to go to jail because you're trying to get to your son, but that he's a minor. So we've got to get there to sign these papers. And just getting harassed, it's horrible. I can't imagine being like that. I'd probably lose my mind. But, finally, after giving the speech of slow down and be safe so you can get there or whatever, they finally get there, and then they gave me morphine. And I don't know if it was before the release or after, I'm not sure, but the morphine flatlined. Bring me back, gave me codeine, flatline, bring me back. I would love to say that, I went to this magical place and saw these beautiful things, but I don't remember anything. I just remember waking, like, mentally being alert, and it's about a week or so later. And, going through my legs up in traction, and, um, elbows all have rods and stuff in them, and just living the hospital life for a while with also poison ivy in my bloodstream. So it was it was pretty crazy. But man, my mom, she was with me the entire time. Like, even when they tried to get her to leave, she wouldn't. The months or so I was there,
Of course.
she was right there by my side, and God bless that woman. I mean, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. But and she actually we had one guy that was in a motorcycle wreck get put into my room. He was in one of the beds over, and he introduced us to a lot of different movies. While we're there, which that's my entertainment. 'Cause it's not like I could get up and go walk anywhere or anything. And so my mom sat there and watched Clockwork Orange. I, of course, had never seen it. She, of course, had no clue what it was. And was that a weird movie to sit there at 15 and watch with your mom? She's going, oh, oh, oh. Many times over. God bless her, man. She powered through it, didn't complain. Just like, hey, I'm here for you. And, I don't know.
She's a
It's
good
little,
woman.
bits
She's
and
a great
pieces
mom.
that I remember out of it. Amazing, amazing woman. And and my dad too. But he was also pastor of church and had to be at places and be able to go out there and still make the money to be able to let my mom be able to be there with me. And then from that, learn to walk again, going through all that physical therapy stuff. But then they're noticing that I've got this limp that is not getting any better. And I'm like, hey, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. They see, it's going to take longer. Well, I'll be fine. Because I don't know if, broken a bone or something, and you can get in like a bathtub and I could move my legs, move everything around perfect. But then you get out of water, it's like gravity sinks in and you can't move anything again. It's like, this is nuts. So, I mean, I understand, water therapy now, but, slowly get that muscle memory back and then learn to walk and then having that big limp. But then they're like, something isn't right. Like you're really leaning when you step on that foot. But I'm trying to, just, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. And then finally, because of something that my grandpa knew, a sports doctor had said, which was real hard to get into, but he took a look at me and did x-rays and everything. He goes, well, I know your other doctor said you're fine, but you're fine if you want to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life because you're not going to be walking for much longer because your leg is like this much shorter than your other leg because your bone is growing back crooked. So what we got to do is cut it. And all I'm hearing is go through this again. No, God, no. But like cut it open and insert a rod in through your bone and through the bone marrow and attach it on both sides. And they've never done the surgery in America. So they had this other doctor from Germany, I believe it was, come in and assist. But he had done the surgery over in that country. And so they brought him over. And of course, I was like, no, I'll tough it out. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And finally, I was convinced, come on, just do it again. You'll be fixed. And my God, they came over, they did it. And and I forgot, after all this stuff from the hospital, I was in a body cast for a long time too. And that was no fun. So again, I'm thinking I'm have to go through this body cast again, all that junk. Well, again, this isn't fixing a pelvis and all that stuff. It's a leg now. So I finally get that realization. And that night before, when we're telling the doctor, that, we're going to do it, I was sitting there laying in bed. I just remember I was so scared because the girl who was driving said that, she had talked to God, met God while she was in a coma. And God told her, hey, it's okay. You know, you're going to be fine. Everyone's fine. Dana, who is the girl that passed, is here with me. She's fine. But I tell you what, I was scared to death. I mean, I was like shaking, crying, like I'm about to fall asleep and talk to God, like meet my maker. Then I'm thinking of all the, being a kid, the stupid little things you've done, but just like, oh my God, he's going to be so ashamed of me. I've done such, like imagine nowadays after other stuff I did. But it was the scariest feeling. And then all of a sudden I just sit there and I just had this all of a sudden, I didn't, see God, but I felt him. I felt the presence. And I felt this feeling of snap out of it, dude. I got you this far. This is going to work. You're going to be fine. If you want to, if you want to make the choice that's right. I don't know. So it just all of a sudden this peace
Right.
just came over me.
Quit being
And
a little
then
baby and just get your,
that's exactly what it was, pretty
yeah.
much. It's like, whoa, God, that's not the expected to hear from you, but and I guess that's kind of how my prayers are, when I talk to God nowadays. It's kind of the same. Sometimes I call him dude. My dude, what's up with this, man? I don't get it. But, long story short and summed up is the surgery worked like a dream and the recovery was quick. And then they took the rod out, about a year later or so. And I've had no issues ever since. So I got into everything you could imagine, sports, skateboarding, thinking you could be a ninja, whatever, just to test those limits, just to, I guess, prove to myself that it wasn't going to slow me down. And I think what it did is it made me stronger, not necessarily saying physically stronger, but mentally. And it made me appreciate
No,
life
I
more.
would say,
Not
I would,
saying didn't make.
I would say that's one of the big things I've always recognized about you is your resilience and being able to bounce back um, very quickly. I've always admired that about you. So you said you bought a Harley with the settlement.
Yeah, because after the recovery and everything, living in that small town, Oklahoma, and dad being a preacher, there's a lot of crazy politics in a small town. And there was times where, his life was getting threatened. He got set up by somebody to pretty much get murdered. And it was mainly because someone didn't want him in that church, wanted someone else in his position. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that was happening. They had pulled me and a friend over, just dragging, Main Street, doing, what us young kids do. And seriously pulled us over and just searching everything, treating us like, absolute garbage, like, horrible criminals. But then at the end, this cop comes over and goes, make sure and go tell your dad what happened tonight. And after that, that's when they're like, all right, we're getting out of here. And we went to Florida and went to a church there, Lakeland, Florida. And we were there for a while. So, great, great times there. But then after just a pretty short period, my parents decided to move up to Georgia. And I'm in a new school where no one knows anything about this wreck. I'm going learn about surfing. All this cool stuff. And then all of a sudden I'm getting told, we're going to move to Georgia. I don't know anything about Georgia, but I think it's like moving back to the sticks or moving back to Oklahoma. And here I am in Florida where I got, beaches on one side with completely clear water, place called Clearwater. Or I've got, Cocoa and Daytona, Sebastian, place like that where you can still kind of surf. And it was just like, it's like paradise. Come on. And I've got this girlfriend. Just like, yeah, how could you take me away from this? And I think they understood, because I can't imagine being in that place now, but they understood that, hey, we're lucky he's alive. And yeah, we didn't sue Ford because, one of the other people in there, their parents had, Ford dealership and stuff. And there were other reasons, I guess, that they didn't do, a big lawsuit. So after the millions of dollars that went to hospital bills and stuff, what was left was this little settlement of $15,000. I'm like, well, you can have this. I could, able to get it out. Even though I was under 18, they were able to sign for me to be able to get it. And they co-signed me an apartment and went ahead and helped me to where, I prepaid for a few months. And at that time I was working in Publix as a bag boy. And I, they said, just don't call us for money. If you need us, come home. Fair enough. So they left. They knew that I had a place. They knew I had a job. That was it. And then my buddy Charles, who had a Harley, and we played music together, did some landscaping, had a landscaping business. and went and bought this badass the 883 Sportster. I mean, drove it around with him, getting to experience the life of, a biker and stuff. But that's, I've said in some other things before. I mean, it was just real eye opening because, he wouldn't let me drink and drive, even though if I'm at a bar with him, they would serve me, no problem. But again, he was to teach me if I'm going to say yes or no, if I'm going to be responsible about it. And it was just a lot of life lessons I didn't know I was learning at the time. You figure them out later in life. You're like, that's why that person did that or that experience happened. But, once that motorcycle broke down and I couldn't afford to fix it, I was like, okay, well, let's see what kind of car I can get. And so I switched to that. And that lasted for a while, just like money and different jobs. But then again, your surroundings and people got a little crazy. And so I moved up to northern Florida, Tallahassee area, a place called Crawfordville. And that was a crazy experience as well. The whole different breed of people around there in the outskirts. And
Florida,
I mean,
man.
it was nuts. Yeah, but I mean, jumping off bridges into nothing but lily pads, but everyone else is doing it. So, hey, you're not going to sit there and be like, well, you guys and girls have fun. I'm just going to stand up here and watch. So I couldn't do that. I wasn't going to be a poser. But man, as soon as I hit that water, I was swimming like I was in the Olympics to get the heck out of there. But that, lasted for a short stint, headed up. And of course,
When did you get back to your parents? When did you get back? Actually, I don't even think, because you went to
well, when I ran out of money.
night school and then went to Full Sail.
Yes, and that was all right before going up to the Tallahassee part. The night school had finished out because I was going to regular high school, but working and going to high school and making enough to pay rent wasn't working. So I had to find something different. So I got into this. It's kind of like a alternative school, but I was able to go to night school. And I thought that was crazy because everyone's smoking cigarettes. It's like, whoa, at school, maybe this place is cool, but it wasn't as cool as it sounded. And but you got to work at your own pace. So I was able to just have this workbook and go through it faster. And that way I could get into Full Sail, which is what I was wanting to do. And I got in, but I was also working in a studio, recording studio down there, 2 different studios. And I was learning so much there too. So that by the time I was getting, midway through everything at Full Sail, I was getting more into the video part of it, which I wasn't as interested in. I was more into working on those knees and SSLs and everything else. And then they're talking about this place up in Georgia. They were talking about several places, but I remember one of them was, the Strand and then House of Blues, Roxy and all this stuff. And I was just remembered those kind of keywords. But to get up to Georgia first was the Tallahassee part. And, it was going with a roommate that I had. And we went and did that, but that only lasted, like maybe a month and a half, 2 months. And then I scooted my way up to Georgia. And then when my parents are talking about this place in Marietta on the square called the Strand, that is, supposed to be a really great place and supposed to be this kind of, all age, club, but it's like a concert venue. And it's like, go check it out. And I went and checked it out. And I was like, wow, it's a huge place. But, it's pretty run down a little bit. But the bands coming in were really cool. But then I saw the studio with Eric. And when I walked into that studio, I was like, all right, now this is awesome. 2-inch reel to reel, nice big mixing board. I don't remember what he had at that time. But the cool thing was sitting there recording live. And then whenever the band is done, you're able to walk out there and be like, hey, you guys sounded great. If you want to hear how you sound, we recorded it all. And $50, you can have a demo. And I mean, I had already recorded a demo, back when I was in Florida and back even when I was in Stigler, Oklahoma, through studios. And I remember how much it costs to get a demo. And I'm like, $50 for a band to get an instant demo? That's insane. So I knew that was a brilliant, business idea on top of it. But he was a character. Eric. Awesome guy. Awesome guy. But, sometimes, some
Agreed.
people got to be able to walk over and it kind of, I think, maybe, a little bit of that happening for so long. And I can understand the feeling when you do, have businesses and have other people that kind of take advantage of kindness and they turn that kindness into weakness or see it as weakness and to try and, manipulate that or use it to an advantage of taking an advantage of you, I guess, in a way. And a lot of that happened to him. And that's one of the things, again, that you go back and you reflect on later in life, where at first you're just mad at him, being like, how is he so unreliable? But it's like, man, he got burnt by a lot of people. And yeah, I can wear on you for a while. But not that I'm, giving an excuse for every time that you might have showed up, not hours late, but days late for a recording and you got a band there waiting. Or, the tapes are with him. But still, we had a great friendship. And through that club and through other studios and Little 5 Points. And, you saw the places we recorded that demo at Little 5 with our band. What was the name of that beautiful band?
Angel Love Star.
Angel. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. A lot of fun. I guess we give shout out to everybody. Jacob, Gabriel. And what was Melissa's last name, the singer? Amazing voice. Just rarely could hear it.
Yeah, amazing voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, she used to sing when I saw her first, it was at the Strand, and she always did this kind of makes me emotional thinking about it. But it's Blue Moon. She did this just amazing version.
Yeah.
Of Blue Moon. It was just her and an acoustic. God, it was so good.
Wow. I wonder what she's doing now. Do you ever see anything about her? She's still in music?
I don't know about that. I think that she's married with a few kids. The last I heard, I heard she's doing really well. But that's about it.
Right on.
And Jacob's doing really good. Gabe's doing really good. So, and I know Jacob is, he's playing music still, like, playing shows and things like that. So, not to jump around too much, but
amazing guitarist, man.
He is very, very, very good. How often do you play an instrument?
Oh man. For a while, I mean, because of course all through our lives, we played forever in and out of bands, doing studio stuff, everything. But nowadays, being of course with, the new type of lawn care and stuff that this business has developed, I find too many excuses to not play, which drives me nuts because when I do pick up one of the freaking million guitars that are just laying around here to easily pick up at any time, it brings me back to this place of just, I mean, it's like a meditation, it's a therapy. And so I try to do it
Mhm.
more. After, the divorce back during COVID, I had, rented some rooms out to different people, and just happened to be that most anyone that I'd rented to were musicians. So I think it was a cool way that God was like, hey, something you got in common with these people, something to get your mind off of other things. And so I was jamming and playing stuff, but I was playing like, whatever covers they wanted to play. A lot of them I didn't know, some of them I might not have liked, but I was playing. And that was the big thing. And that got me back again, not necessarily writing again, but just playing some of the stuff that I had written before, or some the stuff that we would have from our old band, just other original stuff, not just stuff that's on the radio that everyone plays, and then making different variations of that, just to have fun with, and keeping it something that's original to you.
Yeah,
But
I could
now,
say,
expect
yeah, I would say the same goes for me. I think I have I like to collect instruments that I don't know how to play, and then learn them to an extent, but it's like you said, it is a therapy. It's like a meditation. If you really let your, I mean, yeah, playing covers and all that stuff is cool. I play, I go through, like, I've got, um, I mean, they're kind of whatever, typical Beatles songs, but, like, I really like that one, Help, the Beatles song Help. And it's like,
mm,
I think a lot of people need help, you know, and like, you know, reaching out and things like that. But, also, kind of falling back on the tried and true things that we are, I would say we're pretty good at. It's just putting in the time and the um effort, because, you know, like you said earlier, like going to hang out with friends, you really do have to make time for it and say, excuse me. It's you have to allot time for these certain things, because everybody's got a lot of stuff going on. You got a lot of stuff going on, but you got to take that time to uh, do something you love and just escape for a little bit. And I mean, I really do think it is therapy. It is meditation. So I'm glad to hear
absolutely.
you're still playing, but I know that. Yeah.
And that's why I encourage any kid that I, come across, comes into my life, through, girl I'm dating, or through, niece, nephews, of course, my daughter, her growing up, pick an instrument, doesn't matter what instrument, try all different ones. I mean, shoot, when I was, elementary, I tried, trumpet, trombone, even tried tuba for a little bit. So there's no fun when you're out on the football field carrying this thing
Of
around.
course you did.
But then, snare drum, loved it. Of course. But, you know, playing drums, the snare drum was like, okay, I can dig this. But, guitar was still the one thing that I absolutely just fell in love with. And, piano too, but guitar was still, I wanted to be a rock star. I was going to make it happen. Dang it. Made
Yeah,
my band Desire.
I found a pretty cool piano on Marketplace. I'm thinking about going to pick up. It's got one broken key, but it's only that little flat thing in the back that's broken. I know how to
Oh,
fix
nice.
that. And then I know a guy that tunes pianos, and it's a cool upright. It's a shorter, like, I forget what they call it, cuz 88 keys, right, is a typical piano. But this one's a little shorter, but I love piano. I mean, I've got these guys, and you know, and I love mandolin, I love guitar. I think it's it is just simply taking the time. You know, it's like I forget to eat sometimes. You know, I'll be like, I didn't eat today. You know, and I'm like, oh crap, I need to eat an apple, which I did just buy an apple. You want to see a $4 apple?
$4 apple. Wow.
Yeah, that's a $4 apple.
Ain't no Granny Smith, I can guarantee that.
I thought I was
Wow.
no, I thought I was getting like a bag of apples, but that's um what is it? Whole Foods for you.
Oh, yeah, this counts plenty. That ain't no Kroger apple then, huh?
No, where I where I'm positioned, where I live is really hard to get in and out. It's like there's a Kroger and a Publix not too far from here. But by the time I get there, shop and forget half the stuff I went there for, and I get back, it's like 3 hours later. And so I order stuff on Amazon. So it's a little more expensive, but not too much.
Uh, yeah, it's
Except for
just
that
so
damn apple.
convenient. So that's how they got you with the $4 apple. Makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
All right, give me 20
So,
seconds. I'll be right back. Did you time me?
yes, I even sang the 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Yeah, I actually remembered the whole song.
Dude, I hate that song.
9, 10, never sleep
You
again.
remember when they were it was
What's bad
like
is
it was like a it was like a tricycle, and no kid was on it?
yeah,
It was
and it
very
was
sad.
in the kids too that were groping, singing it too. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
Stop it.
3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, grab your crucifix. 7, 8, gonna stay up late. Then 9, 10, never sleep again. Yeah. So, cheers, brother.
Cheers, man.
Having a nice cup of coffee?
Tea. I love chamomile tea.
A nice spot of tea. So, you got where I come from. What about you? Tell me about California, right?
Yeah, I was in California until about, I don't know, 9 years old, and then my my single parent mother and my sister and my brother, we came out here. Um well, Melissa, and I'll just say my brother, um flew. Me and my mom drove cross country, and yeah, we were hanging out here. It was a weird time because it was like late 80s, something like that. And I had this but I had this buddy, Antonio, and we were hiding out in one of we lived in an apartment at the time, and like we were hiding out in this like our little fort bush, because it's we're in an urban area. It's like, there's not many places to build a fort. So we had this little bush we would hang out in, and there was uh, um a Klan rally, like the hoods and torches, the whole nine. And once they like left, I went running back to my mom's and I was like, "Mom, you got to come see this crap. It's like crazy. They're they're yelling crazy stuff." And anyway, um my mom, being the very responsible person she was back then, was like, "We're going back to Cali." And so we went back to California, and I forget how long we were there. It wasn't
Yeah,
maybe about
crazy.
a year, but yeah, it was California was even expensive back then. I mean, I don't think it's anywhere near it is now, but we came back to Georgia and yeah, we had a good life. Nothing crazy. Um, I'd gotten into a little bit of trouble. My brother got into a little bit of trouble, and it was crazy. My brother, when I don't know, he was 18. He took a Greyhound back to California. And he's actually here right now, um, as we speak,
Really?
with his six other of his family members out at my dad's place, and he swore that he would never come back here. But with my family situation with my mom and all that, he didn't really have a choice. But I'm gonna go hang out with him this weekend,
Yeah.
so I'm really stoked about that. But anyway, like your family, my family was really involved in church, and I gravitated toward playing music. And um, I mean, I don't know. You remember those days where I looked, I don't know, I had hair down to here and John Lennon glasses, and I was all about the Beatles and you know playing music. And so yeah, I started a band with who ended up being Jacob's band, but it was like a we jammed at the church and all that stuff. And then then Jacob went off to do better things. I was not in the band anymore, but I still played music. And I think that's when Jacob's band kind of fizzled out, that's when we started, the four of us that we mentioned earlier started playing together. And it was we had a connection there. I think we kind of got each other. I mean, I wasn't I'm still not a great guitarist, but I'm pretty damn good, I would say. But Jacob taught me a lot. And yeah, but I mean, we've already talked about the Strand stuff and all that stuff, so I didn't want to like go over that chunk of it. But yeah, once we started jamming with Jacob and Gabe and Melissa, I remember, I think it was our debut. um, we were at Green Onion, the studio, and you had
Hmm.
made this festival. And so I don't know if you had rented them or what happened, but I think there was three large U-Hauls, and we were expecting rain, but of course, we were the headliner because that's what was up. And
Of We're throwing the
but
party.
the
Yeah.
bands, yeah, and the bands were playing out of the back of the U-Hauls, and I remember cops came up to the gate and was like, "What the hell is going on here?" And you were like, "But yeah, no, I definitely have all the permits. I definitely do." You're like, it's been a crazy day and it's about to rain and like things are going on. And I don't, just be like, I will get these to you. I promise. Like, be like, cause most of those bands, especially back then, were kind of Christian adjacent. And, you know, we're not, there was no alcohol there. There were no drugs, things like that. It was pretty chill group of people. And, yeah, yeah. But Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
if there was
it did start to
anything, it was
rain,
just
and
natural.
so we had to kinda
Weed.
Yes. Correct, correct. But it wasn't like, in everybody's face. It wasn't like a big deal. Really back then, I don't think it was at all, but, I remember we
Yeah,
had everybody go
and it
into
was
the
nothing worth
studio
getting
because it had a
down.
large no, but we had a large space, like a jam area within the middle of the studio, and we set up all our stuff, and like you mentioned earlier, yeah, nobody could hear Melissa at all, but we were definitely loud as hell, and I think from what I could see, everybody was really enjoying themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely, and they were really cool songs. Enjoyed them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
And I guess that was
I think I
pretty much
remember,
like
like,
the
2 of them.
last. Yeah, great times. And then I think shortly after that is when the scene really started changing from
Quite a bit.
live music to the digital techno rave scene. The clubs started changing. The friends, people started changing. Suddenly, people were interested in pacifiers again. They went well with glow sticks.
Oh, I've got some pictures.
I think the strand turned. Oh, yeah. The jeans got bigger. The shirts got tighter.
You remember Stingray's
We
dad?
still stayed true to who we were. Oh, yeah. That was a great band.
No, it was my T-shirt.
Yep. I remember.
It was the T-shirt I wore, like,
Well, then who am I
practically every
thinking
day.
of? I remember the shirt. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's funny. So it
Jinkos
wasn't a
and the
band?
same T-shirt all the
Because
time.
I can remember the Stingrays did shirt. That's hilarious. I don't know if it was a band or not. When I had the old English malt liquor shirt that I wore all the time. Had the big lion or tiger and bear, oh my. Wow. Good, good memories. And then now we were roommates at, was it called Crestmont? Was that the first apartments?
Yeah.
Was that the name of them?
Yeah, it turned out being like yeah, it turned out being me, Jen, Missy, Elena. There were people over all the time, every day, all hours of the night.
Yeah.
Mostly good people, though.
Yeah. Mostly good. Really, I mean, there was a high percentage of good. I think when we moved over to Sedgefield apartments is when more of the bad. And again, that was still kind of with the scene change and in scene change being, the friend scene change, not just can't go blaming the music for everything. But, I mean, different things started to play and people that, it's funny because you always laugh when your parents are like, "Now you need to watch out for these people. They're bad influences, blah, blah, blah." And I don't. I mean, I don't want to sound conceited or say anything like, "Oh, we were never those bad influences." Maybe I was to some. I would like to hope that I wasn't because, again, like we've said before, we never ever meant anything bad to anybody as far as harm or even as much as sadness. But some people that came in could definitely wear a different face and different persona and really fool you on
Yeah,
who they
they
were,
were.
what their real intentions were.
Yeah, they were. Some of them were overtly evil, but it's hard to tell at first, kind of thing. But yeah, I think the crew that we typically kept around us was, we're just trying to make it by. We were typically, we're all out on our own at like 17 years old, and just trying to scratch our way to just pay the rent and eat a little bit, and all that. It was I don't know though. I mean, most of it was fun. Some of it was when those other characters got involved, it really like tangled things up, and people start to, I don't know, gossip and spread rumors and things like that. But I think, you know, luckily most the people that like that we still communicate with, they're the original ones that we started with.
Now, could you imagine going back into that time and it being the digital age that we're in now? And I mean, you see how much value there is in what we were blessed to have as kids of being able to go and see all these people eye to eye. And I mean, maybe sometimes cross eyed, but still eye to eye and see, how real and how true they are in person and being able to figure out much quicker if they're good or evil.
That's a
Where
good point.
now everything is so digital, everything's a fake persona that someone puts on about themselves, who they are, tries to present themselves as camera friendly as they can and camera good as they can. When the most digital thing we had pretty much at that time was a pager. And I mean, you can kind of tell some people by what their little tag number was. I'll still never forget Gabe's was 911. I wanted to strangle him for that one. What's the emergency? Oh no, man, that's just my line. That's my tagline. Do you remember what yours was? I can't remember what mine was. I think I had 70
777.
for a little bit, just because the number I could remember because the year I was born. But I can't imagine being a kid growing up in this digital age, especially even right now. I mean, with my daughter, it was rough when she was younger. But I mean, with all this TikTok, Instagram, all the different apps out there, and especially, with COVID, when that happened, everything was meet everybody through a screen. It definitely, was a big step back, and I hope that we're taking a giant leap forward again somehow to be able to have more
Well, yeah,
face-to-face interactions again and people
I honestly,
on the damn devices.
yeah, I honestly think with the adage of AI and stuff like that, um, I I believe there's going to be a a movement of organic, human created things. I don't think everybody wants to go all digital. I don't. I think that people want to have I don't know, a true understanding of like who they are. It's like when you watch all these videos of like I don't know if you watch YouTube lately, it's like every other video is some AI, whatever, and it's just like it's just disingenuous. And I think naturally, um we we're not going to gravitate completely toward that. I think there's going to be a sect of people that still want to play guitar. I mean, shit, there's like bands out there that don't exist, that AI. I mean, they're like top 100 bands on Spotify, and it's all AI, and it's like, I don't even know what to say about that, but it's like, I really like an organic situation where you're sitting in front of a person that's worked really hard on their craft, and they play it, and it really touches your heart. But what do I know?
No, I agree 100%. And that's what, takes me back to loving the days of like the Strand and stuff when it was just raw. Bands were getting up there and just playing their heart out, and you could feel the emotion in it. And you may get their demo or get, not the one that was recorded, but say, get their album or anything and be like, oh, wow, that's horrible. But man, I swear, when they played that show, they sounded incredible. But it's because, they
Yeah.
were there doing it together. Their heart it was amazing. And that's what I miss. And I really hope that, it doesn't go well. I think it's our job to make sure it doesn't, as each individual, musician, you know, uh, like auto tune. I mean, auto tune, when I'm learning it, that was, to fix an error. And then you go through a whole, seemed like century almost of auto tune is the new thing to sing through, to where everyone's got a good voice. And it takes out the
Yeah, I blame that on
genuine
Cher.
people that, raw, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Do you believe?
Do you believe in life after love?
But I mean, I was just hearing, my goodness. Yeah. It's funny how, things change, but, they always say it kind of makes a circle. So we'll see, because, like vinyl and came back, bell bottoms came back. Let's see if, the analog world can come back if AI doesn't destroy it first.
Yeah, I think
Who knows?
with like people like Jack White that seek out the, just the best equipment that's ever been built, whether it's from mics or cables or record players or, you know, drums or whatever. It's like, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. I just really don't. I think there's a certain type of person out there that doesn't want the auto tune and well, I forget who the guys are. There's two guys in Hollywood that write all the pop songs for all the pop artists, and it's like Max and something. Um, they're they're uber rich, and they know how to you know write the stuff that makes sense, and they get a pretty face, and you know, boom, like you're good to go. Um, at least money wise. But I don't think real music lovers, um, I don't think they're fooled.
And I think that's why, YouTube, music and stuff like that is staying so popular, just constantly raising because it's still showing authentic people playing music. And there are so many amazing, amazing musicians at young ages that just blow you away with what they can do with a guitar or a mandolin or a violin or whatever it is. And it's just raw and amazing. And that is where the talent is. And there's no record label behind it. There's no one really profiting off of it except for, whatever platform it's on and those people. And, maybe some sponsors, things like that. But I think that, of course, is going to be the way it's going to keep going. But I encourage that, to be honest with you, because it's genuine. And, just like, for Chip, for instance, he had got signed, and did this stuff with a label, with an album. Now he's going all, without a label to do this next EP, that he's got out. I think it's the smartest thing. He's talking about asking about distribution, all that stuff. Is like I have no real insight or ways to help other than say keep doing what you're doing. Just like anyone else out there that's got a great talent, just record yourself and get it out there and let people hear it and be like, wow, this is incredible, and share it. Just like, getting on and talking about stuff, talking about things that have happened to you through life and what maybe other people can learn from some of the things that you've gone through. And if it could help somebody, awesome. If it's just entertaining, awesome. But at least it's genuine. Don't want crap that's all made up to look perfect. Got some cute computer behind it making it
No, that's the
perfect.
word.
Things don't have to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, genuine is the word. I think it's, in the, I don't know, with MySpace, it wasn't so bad back then, but the advent of Facebook and then Instagram and all these TikToks and things like that, it's like everything's kind of muddied up, and it's not genuine. And you look at, I've got acquaintances on, say Instagram that they paint this just rad picture of their life, and I know them, and I know their life is not what it seems, and it's
Right.
no different with creativity and music and things like that. Like I don't know, I will say that some of the AI music, and I don't know if you've gone on Chat GPT or Gronk or any of the other ones, but it'll spit out some fire poetry if you put the right prompts in there, and it's like you could just be like, oh, I'm living in Texas, and my my car just broke down, my dog died, and I'm missing the love of my life, and say write a folky country, little bit of blues, and it spits out some pretty fire shit, but
Mm-hmm. And then you say, now make
you can
the
tell
style
it's like
of Jason
listen
Aldean.
to,
And then it changes it like that.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. But it's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
replace, you know, Siamese Dream and, um, shit, I could go on and on about albums, but
Right.
it's not gonna replace that stuff.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Siamese Dream because Siamese Dream and Gish are two albums that I've been encouraging on some, coming of age people to go back and just listen to, along with like Toad the Wet Sprocket Pale, because that was an album like they went in and recorded live. And it's like
Yeah.
one of their first albums, like to debut. And it's absolutely incredible. And it shows they can get heavy and without distortion. Where of course, I mean, especially like when we were starting with bands, our biggest bands are, Radiohead and Pumpkins and all this, I mean, where, we love just having that fuzz and that, I mean, and it was wonderful. I mean, the grunge era was magical. It was great. I love it. Nirvana, everyone. But to also be able to just really have that energy as a band, playing still with clean tones, and it's your rhythm, your drums, your bass, and your guitar being able to play in a speed and in a way, in a manner that still will just rock your freaking face off, get the point across, but without having to
Yeah.
use a certain tool. I don't know. And
Yeah,
then
it was
I
like,
say the word tool and it starts making
you know, when,
some tool.
you know, when, Si Pumpkins put out the Siamese Dream video, which is essentially it's like Gish and Siamese Dream, like, smushed together. It's like they were writing all those songs around the same time. And you remember in the video of Siamese Dream, they had like a box. Billy Corgan holds up this box and he's like, "We put everything through here. That's how we get the sound that we have." And he was just bullshitting everybody. He was like, he was just a sarcastic, dude. In reality, they just put in the work. It's like I don't care. I'll mention the Beatles again, but it's like, you know, I think it's the White Album where he's like, Lennon's like, "I've got blisters on my fingers." I think it was Lennon. It's either
Mhm.
Paul or it was either
Yeah.
McCartney or Lennon. They put in the work.
Yeah. It was after one of the first heaviest songs ever put out. It was Helter Skelter, wasn't it? Then after that,
Yeah.
"I got blisters on my finger."
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, what an amazing album. But then, I mean, you've got that in everything. Look at In Rainbows, like the basement things where they're sitting there, and they're playing all those songs right there live in that little studio environment. I mean, golly.
Well, it's funny you mention In Rainbows because I remember when it first came out, I was like, man, they're getting all like, after like Kid A or whatever. And then In Rainbows comes out, right? Yeah, yeah. I think it was. Like I might have
What is
flop them,
Kid
but
A
I was like, man, they're getting all.
Amnesiac?
Yeah, but I thought they were getting all digital. And then you watch Radiohead in the basement and you're like, oh, like guys are like amazing.
It blows me away. They can still come up with new stuff that is just completely different. And I really think that, some of, like when they went to Kid A and Amnesiac and some of that stuff was kind of to weed out some of the fans that were just after them because of the popularity. Because I mean, after OK Computer, well, after you got Pablo Honey in the bins, of course, they had hit singles that were, some poppy, some just beautiful, and people loved them. But did they ever hear all the other songs? Yes, most of those people, they knew all those hits, but they didn't know any other song on the album, which were some of the most incredible songs, or the ones that never made the radio. And then OK
Mm-hmm.
Computer, of course, was just, phenomenal. And but again, some of the best songs. I mean, some of them, the best songs were even radio, played on the radio, but still, those other songs that were on there, just like how many people are missing this, and they think they're only good because of this. It almost makes you mad because you're like, you just don't understand. Yeah, I think that's where some people got to be kind of Radiohead snobs because it's just like y'all are posers. And it happens with all sorts of bands, from Zeppelin to you name it. They have all these amazing songs that no one ever
Yeah, I
hears,
mean,
or a lot of people never, because they don't actually go buy it. They just get the singles.
yeah, and I think that we've talked about this at length, privately. It's just, these cookie cutter bands, they don't last long because they're not genuine, back to that word again. It's I mean, ever since, I was like, whatever, 10 when I heard the White Album, I was like, what the hell? Like, why didn't anybody tell me about this? And it's like I was just floored. And then it, it I've been in love with music ever since. I mean, it really, really got me. I mean, Walking on Sunshine was my first favorite song. And Put Another Dime in the Jukebox, Baby, or I Love Rock and Roll. There's two different titles to that,
Mm-hmm.
I think. But yeah, but the Beatles solidified my absolute love for music.
you opened my eyes to
But like you
the
said, there's so
Beatles.
many.
I mean, you really opened my eyes to how incredible the Beatles were. I knew the Beatles through their more popular songs. So I was the person I was just talking about back when it started as far as the Beatles go. I knew them for their hits. I didn't know them for their jewels. The amazing from Rocky Raccoons to freaking Sexy Sadie and I mean just all the different styles of songs that showing that pretty much yes every band has in some way ripped off a Beatles song. you know so uh, you know sorry whether bands are out there complaining that other people are stealing their songs. Y'all all got it pretty much from the Beatles. And then but the band that I grew up with really getting into and just hearing all a whole different way of music
It was
was the
Yanni, you're
Smiths.
correct. Yanni and Kenny G.
um yeah. Yes, Air Supply. But no, the Smiths. I mean, just the way that Johnny Marr played guitar, the way him and Morrissey could, even though I mean they
They're
hate each
amazing.
other forever, I guess. But back then, the way they could write these songs that were absolutely freaking incredible. These guitar riffs, and it, of course, nothing gets spoke about the amazing drums. The rhythms that just kind of like Ringo, things that you just doesn't get classified as a great drummer in all this other stuff because it wasn't your typical beats or your typical huge drum set. It's more like a mute math drum set, another incredible freaking drummer. But just people that could utilize what's small and right there in front of them to the best you could absolutely imagine. You just have a snare and a couple toms to make magic. And I mean, it was incredible. And from that, I was getting into other things, like, of course, back there, the, early 90s and late 80s of, like The Cure, with all the flange, the different pedals and different ways they would write and construct songs. And then, of course, for, digital stuff, you had like Depeche Mode with the keyboard stuff. Just I don't know. I had, an older brother to help kind of influence some of this and show me some of these bands, but we still had, different tastes and other things. But I go back and look at some of these bands, and now, when I go back and listen to it, of course, it strikes a certain place in me in a memory. And that's what's so wonderful about music, about how you can listen to a song and you instantly go back to a memory of maybe it's the first time you heard it, or maybe it's sometime, like with the Smiths, there's one album that, during the whole time in the hospital, I listened to the Meat is Murder album. From listening to that album, you would think I was a freaking vegetarian. I was all sorts of stuff, but it has nothing to do with any of that. It's just how beautiful those songs were. And the lyrics, there were certain parts of the lyrics that just really stuck out to me and bring back a joy, whether it can be the most depressing song in the world, it doesn't matter. The joy that it brings me hearing that song, because it reminds me of a time that I was really fighting to get through something and I needed something to give me solace or whatever the right word would be, but just give me peace. And that's what
It's
it
a good
was.
word.
And then you go and you try and show somebody else that, and it's impossible. I'll sit there and I'll show Jen, the Meat is Murder album, and she'll, to flatter me, oh yeah, really cool. But you don't get it if you're not in that part. But you can still respect that. Hey, it's a cool song.
Well, it's like,
Good for
yeah,
you. But will
I
she ever go
played,
far?
I,
I got it.
yeah, I played, I had, had a hiatus, after, you know, me and my, ex broke up, and I was staying with my, cousins, and God bless them. Um, but yeah, we would sit on the back porch and listen to music. And of course, I don't even know if I said this, but you and I are music snobs, just like Jacob, Gabe, all that, we were all music snobs. And I think rightfully so. I can't tell you how many CDs of girls or friends that I was involved with that I threw out CDs, Three Doors Down, Nickelback. I threw those things right out the damn window. And I'm like, look, I'm protecting you, but it's like, you know, yeah, no, I don't know. I probably shouldn't have done that, but hindsight's 2020. But, you know, I was, I'm really good friends with my cousin's husband, and, we like a lot of the same music, but he didn't really branch out too much. And like, I was like, dude, we need like 2 hours of the Smiths. And I was like, put on You're the One for Me. And he's like, huh? You know, and I'm like, yeah, just put that one on. And it's like, You're the One for Me, fatty. You're the one I really, really love. And it's like, he's like, what is he talking about? And I was like, it's just it's poetry, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
It
love
is.
this. I love Morrissey and the Smiths.
Yeah, they're both. It's just cool because it's and another great thing is him and Johnny Marr still how they've went off to do these different things and in different bands. Even Johnny Marr going and playing with Modest Mouse and all the other bands. So many bands, it's crazy how many he's played with.
Mhm.
And then Morrissey staying consistent with his stuff, but still has been great music. But it's so different and different than the Smiths. But then they'll play a Smiths cover that they wrote together, and they're just like the originals. And that's when you're like, okay, yeah, they really wrote these
Yeah.
songs together. You can't pull that. I mean, it's too genuine. They both do Headmaster's Ritual. They both do Light That Never Goes Out. You know, just songs that, you just can't fake through or can't sit there and be like, okay, I think this is how he did this. Like, no, they wrote it together. They really wrote it together. Which kind of, like a Beatles thing, when they would Paul McCartney go back, if he is the real Paul McCartney. He's got to be the real, even if one did die, because the second one would still have been through some of the
I
most
mean, he is 150
amazing
years old.
albums. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
What
lucky
amazing.
enough to see him live at Piedmont Park, and it was just massive. I
I was
I
there.
forget. I think
I
it's
wasn't
called a
there.
Boomhauer. It's like, you know, sorry about you, but they had this huge speaker stacks beside the stage, and then they had delay lines all the way back, so all the people that were there could listen in real time. And it was just like, damn, dude, this guy, like, he did a 4 hour set and took like maybe 30 minutes in between the two sets, or the four, he did 2 hours and then took 30 minutes and then came back and did two more hours. And I was like, this guy's like 80 something. And I'm like, what in the world is wrong with this guy? But he's super impressive.
Now, were you there? Because you worked, with me with APR when we were doing, live sound, stages and everything for all these bands. We did a Beatles cover band, but they were just the old Beatles, and it was at Piedmont Park, and it was up top there by it's
I
not really
was
a
there.
clubhouse, but just this little like bank. You were there, and then Paul McCartney was playing, doing rehearsal down for the show down there, and they had us stop for them to
Yeah.
play. And Beatles could play.
Yeah. It was like it was like a little tiny. It was like stone, and I'm trying to remember exactly where it is. I mean, it's like it was like a little, but it had electricity. So yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that was
And they all
cool.
had the, haircuts. He's sitting there, playing left-handed bass, and they were great. And they were sitting there playing. They're like, "Hey, I'm sorry, this was just supposed to be kind of like a sound check, but actually he's doing a private show. So if y'all don't mind, stopping for a little bit, so that way they can play." Is that a trick question? Like, of course we'll stop to let a real
You're like,
Beatle play his music. Yeah.
of
And it's
course,
just times like that. I mean, we've been blessed through our lives, man, to be able to
agreed.
see and be a part of some things. So no matter what kind of crap comes through us, and we both have some. I won't call them. I won't use the word I was thinking, but just some marriages that might have went a little south. And but again, like we've said, before, can't dwell on the bad things. What you focus on is the good thing, and that's that human being you brought to the earth out of that.
Hmm.
And you've got a daughter. I've got a daughter that came from whatever kind of marriage it was. It doesn't matter to the point of it. What matters is we've got these human beings on this planet that are going to grow up to do absolutely amazing things. We may see it, we may never see it, but either way, it's going to happen. God had some reason behind it. And therefore, I feel blessed. I have to remind myself a lot of times because, I'm human and sometimes get all sour. But no, we really have some blessed lives.
Yeah, and you have to, you know, and it goes back to like, obviously we love music so much and love to play it and whatever, but it's like, that meditation, that focus, that you know dedication, it's important because of those people in our lives, because we gotta be on our game, and it's like, we could go through life being bitter and you know uh pointing fingers and blaming people for our problems and all that stuff, but at the end of the day it's like, I participated. um I mean, I know you think I'm perfect and all, but I'm not. um and I don't really try to be. I try to do what's right um in the moment. I fail miserably often, but it's like we
Try to be sane, try to
I
teach
don't know, we have
sanity.
a and logic. So what switching gears, um what is your favorite band that's ever been? Rather,
As
let's say your second favorite band.
I was gonna say, because I mean, it's there's the toss up, and I feel like of course, the Beatles, and then as cliche or whatever it may sound, I mean, Radiohead, because I mean, I've been diehard since going and see them their first concert in America, the Pablo Honey tour, and actually getting to go and meet them. Me and my buddy Sean, Jean was his name, Jean Bacon. We showed up early. This little bitty club that was in like a uh, not really a strip mall. It's almost like a storage unit area at outside of Orlando. And we show up, and they were touring with Belly, that band, Feed the Tree or Feel the Tree. So that, and we get there like hours and hours early because we're like, there's going to be such a long line. We get there, we're the only people. Tour bus isn't even there. Tour bus does pull up, but at this time we already went over to the I think it was a 7-Eleven, and we brought Everclear with us and went over there and got slushies like out of the machine. So we're mixing that with the slushies, thinking, hey, we'll be fine. And then all of a sudden, they come out for sound check and they're walking, and we've got the magazine with us that was, announcing the concert. We run up like little schoolgirls. Hey, can you guys sign our magazines? They're trying to be like, hey, what's up, dude? And then like, sure, then I think it was Tom, and I would probably be lying if I told you who the other person next to him was that was with me because it's still a little blurry. But I just remember Tom saying he doesn't have a pencil. And instead of a pen, it was saying pencil. I was like, okay. Everclear hadn't really hit yet. And we're just like, what the heck is going on, dude? Like, this is crazy. As we're sitting there sipping on our freaking, it's like almost like an orange Julius with Everclear. Then he asked, what it is, we're doing. And he was the one talking to us the whole time. It was me, and John sitting there talking. And it was the coolest thing. It was just like, we're just humans talking to humans. Nothing. We go back and, they're inside doing sound check and everything. And all of a sudden, they open the doors. More people are showing up. But seriously, this club maybe held 300 people. I mean, it was nothing. Little bitty. So we're right up front. And they've got this bouncer and little like bars, so that you can't get on stage, even though like the bouncer and the bar from the stage is like 3 feet, maybe. Something you could just grab them. But, again, they're new to America. They hadn't been at the release, hadn't been out, that long. But still, we were just so amazed by the album and this whole new style of music, because like Stop Whispering and Anyone Can Play Guitar, all those songs are just so different than anything else. Who cared about Creep? I mean, Creep was great, but all these other songs on the album, like, oh my God, who is this band? And we're sitting there, but I remember all of a sudden everyone is just feeling the vibe of how great this band is. Well, so we're sitting there, and then we're getting hit against the rail. And the next thing you know, and I yak all over the bouncer.
Oh, no.
And all I can see is I'm yakking all over the place. And then I look up, and there's Tom looking down at me, and this big old grin. Just back to playing. And then I had to go out, and so did he. And we get out to, I don't remember much after
talking.
that.
I'm gonna grab a t-shirt.
You got it. But just pretty much the rest of the show, because remember Belly opened up for him, so we were going through the whole concert of Belly first and listened to it, and then the lead singer of Belly and Tom played like a acoustic duet song, and then Radiohead just freaking blew all of our minds away. But the last half of the Radiohead show, we had to spend outside on the hill because we drank too much Everclear. But I'll never forget that. And then seeing them.
I just went to go find my Pablo Honey t-shirt. I thought I knew where it was, but I couldn't find it quick enough.
They're around for a long time. It's all right.
Yeah, I only got to see them 3 times. Yeah, it was Pablo
Every
Honey.
show I've seen has been amazing, except for one of my last ones that was at like let's say Phillips Arena or something. Again, delay stacks and stuff like that. Something was off. And it's the one where they had all these like TVs hanging down, or screens that were hanging down all over the place. And it's just something in the room was off. And I was just like, oh man, I miss the old days of being able to hear it where you just got the line array right in front of you, or the stacks, and just be able to hear it real right
Mm-hmm.
in front of you. I don't know. I would like to go to, I know they're having another tour now, but like I said, I didn't see anything in America. And the tickets will probably only be like, $8 million. So if you're
Yeah.
listening,
Yeah.
Tom, and you got, go send us some tickets, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Grow up, Tom.
Yeah. Throw me a freaking bone here. But yeah, I would say, that's my first and second. Then, of course, the Smiths are always going to be way up there in my heart. But then it's just rough because there's so many others that take all those other places, even from bands like the Shins and Pinback. And there's so many bands that, you
Yeah.
just love for different reasons. So it's say they're favorites of all music because us being the music snobs we are, I guess, you take things apart to where, I love this band for their bass lines. I love, like Soul Coughing. I love Soul Coughing for, now that's creepy. I've got one of these massage chairs that I guess you can talk to and make it do things, but yet it won't do anything except for listen to conversations. And then every now and then, China kicks in and says, I am here, which means taped it, sent it over. Affirmative.
Soul coughing.
See?
Check.
Yeah. I mean, the
Only
rhythm
your ass would
that
buy
guy
one of those
had.
things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's special. But it is.
Like Secret Machines. I mean, of course, early Deftones. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on and on.
Sunny Day Real
I mean,
Estate.
it's like, well, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's it's hard to commit. That's why I asked you that question, because it's like, you have your loyalties to the OGs, but the fact is there's just really good musicians out there, and they've helped shape our lives. I mean, Jimmy Eat World. I mean, it's like goes again. I could go on and on and on.
Boys. Look what the Beastie Boys did to us, growing up too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole different style there, I mean, from their punk days, rap days, everything is just, I mean,
Mikey went bye-bye. Maybe that chair possessed his computer and messed everything up. It's possible. It's very possible. I'm just going to hang out for a minute, sit around, think about what pops up. So what's interesting is Mike has started doing podcasts. It was mainly about his business he's been working hard on over the past few years. E-scapes. Basically it's like an electronic platform for landscaping. And of course he typical Mike, he's like, oh, I'll just do a podcast for E-scapes and electric lawn care studio. It's funny. But yeah, apparently it's kicking ass. So it's like low emissions, low sound, things like that. I think it's a pretty rad idea. It's kind of a trailblazer in that sense. Yeah, I hope it's very successful. I don't know. I think he's talked to me about like some being like an OF model or whatever. I don't understand that, but apparently a lot of people make a lot of money doing that. So it's to each their own. I mean, I'm not going to subscribe. Not that I would with anybody, but especially not Mike. But yeah, he's I'm not saying he's not good looking or whatever, but I mean maybe there's somebody out there for him. I don't agree with that kind of lifestyle. But, you know, people got to make that big money. Who knows? But looks like he's back ish.
Might hit it with a hammer or something first, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was just
No, okay.
I was just telling the recording about your what your current endeavors are with um your aspirations toward your lawn care business, and how it's low emissions, um and low volume, that kind of thing. And then I hope you don't mind, but I did mention how you were contemplating doing a OF, but I'm not sure.
With
Yeah, you
no.
can't. Only somethings.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I just said
Showing.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know. I told him I didn't. I did. I know. I told him all about it, but I'm
Thank
not
you.
sure if
Thank you.
there's a market out there for that. But I don't know. You might.
You never know. Never know till you
I
find
mean,
out, right?
all you can do is try.
Yeah. If it doesn't work, then cry.
So where'd you go?
I don't know. The computer just said low browser storage. This is a brand.
There. Listen, all y'all. This is sabotage.
What great song. Beastie Boys,
Oh
freaking
my
awesome.
god.
And
But yeah, I mean,
run.
yeah, I don't know, man. It's like we went through a lot of stuff. I think I don't I don't know that those conversations ever stop. I think I mean, hell, we could write a book. Pretty rad book.
And that's what I was doing. I was writing a whole different book before I wrote the book on, electric landscaping. I have the whole other book that is I don't know, I went through a few different names of it. But to be honest with you, the purpose of that book is not so much to sell or anything like that as it is to hopefully give some lessons to my daughter,
Educate. Yeah.
mm, and anyone else, that can. But I think something like this is something that would get done a lot quicker, where maybe, some other people other than, down the road when I'm gone have something back that my, daughter can read about some of, life's interactions and what I learned from them. But mainly it's just, getting out there and telling some of these stories before. I mean, you never know when you might wake up one day and forget who you are. I mean, dementia's real. Alzheimer's, I'm asses, RFK. But it's a crazy thing, and I don't want it. Don't wish it on anyone. But I would like to at least be a little prepared for it by having some of the crazy times in my life that I somehow survived through to at least be somewhere other than just in my head. Because I don't know how much good it does in my head other than keep me from hopefully repeating it. But if it can help someone else to be like, hey, this helps me in this situation, or oh, I get what you're talking about. Maybe I can apply this in some other situation. And cool. It's kind of like
No, I agree. I think it's important to, because I mean, obviously, we're not works of art or finished pieces of work. There's a lot that we're working on, to better ourselves. And it's like, I don't know. I was talking to my sister the other day, and like, we're just like real frustrated with my nephew, you know, and we both kept having to remind each other, like, dude, you remember how stupid we were like back then? At 14, come on, man. Like it's hard to remember um how undeveloped you truly are. And it's like, and that's okay. I mean, I think, I don't know, it's like a twofold thing. It's like parents gotta like kind of chill out. I mean, it's like, I mean, I know parents that are like hardcore, and these kids are just like scared to death of their parents. And then I got other friends that they're just like, oh, these are my best friends. And I'm like, I don't think they are. I think they're your child. And like, I don't know. It was and I'm
that
not
me.
yeah, I'm not there was I saw this like a thing that's been going around on the interweb is there's a girl, she's probably 4 or 5, and she's standing at a kitchen counter, and of course she's on a screen, whatever. I don't know what to think about any of that stuff, but I always limited that when I was um around a lot. But it was like, she goes, "Mommy, I think I'm a boy." And the mom goes, "No, you're a girl, and you always will be. That's what God gave you, and you should be grateful that you're even here. And I'm grateful that I'm here." That kind of thing. And it's like parenting 101. You know, it's and I'm not even talking about that particular topic, but it's like
No, I
you're
get exactly
yeah,
what
you're
you're
the
saying.
parent, they're the child, and like, whatever content they're digesting, it's like, I mean, she was also saying like, Jesus and God gave you the body that y- you know they decided you should be in, and you should really appreciate it. And it's like, it's we you and I don't do this, but like a lot of people that I'm around, it's like, they're anti-religion, especially anti-Christian. And it's like, these are our values that especially you and I were raised on. And it's like, it's, um, it's a difficult pill to swallow when it's like, it's poo pooed and like, oh, you know, that's just hooey. That's, I think that dude, Yeshua of Nazareth, figured something out. And I think he's the son of God. Sorry. Like, you know, yeah. And it's so
Again, believe
passe.
you want, but I'm not going to change my beliefs just because you tell me it's different.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just, I think people pigeonhole people, and it's like, I'm like, it doesn't matter. I mean, I cuss and get rowdy. I'll do some stuff, Yeah, I'm a little crazy here and there. But, when I lay my head down on my pillow at night, or when I wake up in the morning, it's I try to stay focused and, renew my mind with the and I wasn't indoctrinated. I really wasn't. Here's a good story. I was Gabe's uncle. It was like, I want to say it was the first time he preached at this church. So I had to be there or whatever. And I'm pretty young, probably 13, 14. And he's one of those like Pentecostal preachers. He's running around screaming, yelling, and like, I was like, obviously I don't like this. I don't even like the modern day churches, rock and roll bands and all that stuff. Yeah, his name, called him Uncle Charlie. He was rad. He was a really good dude. He's, since passed, but he's running up and down the aisles. I mean, I don't know who gave him a wireless mic, but this dude was using it. And he's running around getting everybody fired up. And he was like, Chad, do you feel it? Do you feel it? I was like, I guess. was like, I was like, what do you want me to do? I was like I'm like, I'm utterly embarrassed right now. Like, leave me alone, And it's like, I don't like the typical um relationship with Christ that people have. It's like I don't get it. I don't get the dogmatic stuff. Like you said, dude, like God talking to the creator of all things. You're talking to him like, dude, like what do I gotta do? Whatever. I don't I don't think that entity cares one way or another. He just wants a personal relationship with you and you to rely on him
Yo,
instead of
personal.
this. Yeah. And whatever that looks like, I mean, I think you need to, not you, but we, need to, you know, seek it out, seek it out. Like, dude, I've got all this stuff right here. A lot of Christians don't believe this stuff, but I've been going ape on these on the first four books of the Bible. And like, you know, it's bat crazy. Like, I don't know if anybody's like, man, outright religion, like read that. It is crazy town. It is the craziest stories I've ever heard in my life. I mean, it makes, I don't know, think about the worst. I don't watch scary movies, but the scariest one I watched was like Saw, which now I watch and it's like watching Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like, man, that's stupid. But at the time, I'm like, God, that is just pure disgustingness. That's what the Old Testament is to me. It's like gnarly. It's it's gnarly, and I can't
Ex-
believe they
you
wrote it
remember
down.
for the first time?
The Exorcist. Yeah, like there's like a curse of that movie where like
Yeah.
there's like five people that lost their mind, and
I watched that as a little kid at my grandparents that were like really strict too. And like, I mean, everything had to be perfect, proper Christian. I mean, I got in trouble for buying the Duran Duran album, got so much trouble. And,
oh, yeah.
there's no curse words allowed in anything. But then the movie The Exorcist came on TV and they couldn't stop it, but they wanted to so bad. Like, well, one more bad thing, we're shutting it off. But then I was like, you know, and there's the whole, F me scene and all that stuff. And
Oh
they were
yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah.
I tell you, I did not sleep for days, well, nights. I was so freaking scared. That movie, it got under my skin.
I don't
Holy
think I've
crap.
watched the whole thing, to be honest.
Ah, it'll still give you some chills, but man, watching it as
Now
a
I
kid,
remember I remember when my sister, my mom, I don't know, she must have been like 27 or something like that. She had some friends over. We were supposed to be in bed, and Missy and I were in the hallway, like looking, and like it was like Nightmare on Elm Street, like the first one. And you
yeah.
know how he like comes up through the drain or whatever. My sister
Mm.
didn't shower. She wouldn't bathe for like 2 weeks. You know, I don't like horror movies. I think I don't know. I think they're silly. I mean, I don't mind like crime movies and stuff like that. They're fine. I don't know. I really do think that, like you were talking about earlier with the how our parents always said, you hang out with trash, you're gonna, you alluded to that, and it's like garbage in, garbage out, and it's like, you know, I don't know. I know a lot of folks that are um they it's now called the P word. They watch a lot of the P word on the internet, and it's like it like ruins relationships. It ruins intimacy and things like that with your partner. And it's like, you know, certain things, man, it's, I don't know. I kind of got into this after I broke up with my ex. Um, I kind of, I don't know. I was just looking for answers, and like why would a woman do this? Kind of thing. And like it just starts popping up all this like woman hating stuff like on YouTube. And like I finally realized, I was like, I can't watch that. Like it's affecting me and like the way I view, you know, these beautiful females that are around me. I mean, we encounter them all the time. I mean, I love females. I love my sister. I love my mom, even though she's not around anymore. It's like, it really, it wasn't helpful. There was no value added. It was just, it was feeding like a
You said it
something
right there.
inside of me.
The bingo in that is, where is the value? And if you value a woman, or a woman values a man, watching something like that, does it actually bring value? If it's bringing arousal, is arousal actually value? Or is it just some quick satisfaction? And again, is that quick satisfaction bringing value? Or if you don't have that satisfaction, are you appreciating the time that you are able to have that down the road going to be even more
Mhm.
valuable? Which
Right.
kind of goes back, you know, the Christian beliefs and the beliefs of, back in the days of, nothing before marriage, kind of thing. And I don't know if it's specifically because of the fear of God saying that this is the way it has to be, because did Jesus or God actually invent marriage and a certificate? Or is it more about the make sure you really have that connection and you really value each other before you take it to that level? Now, I
Yeah,
understand that, of
because it is
course, back
sacred.
right. But then again, back when we were more, you know, cavemen ish or whatever, then, breeding like animals, maybe, I don't know. I wasn't back then. I wasn't present in those times, I don't think. Maybe there was reincarnation. I don't know. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying it still, even then, it was to, even if it is the animal kind of thing, it was to have that partner, have those children, have that family. Whether you're a pack of wolves or you're humans, whatever, but you're not going around one wolf and going impregnating all these other wolves and having all these other little wolves everywhere. Then those two wolves are, other ones are going to fight, and it's not going to be pretty. Someone's going to die in that situation. So it all kind of goes back to the whole fact of, it comes with respect. You respect, all that comes together. And I think watching something like P, I guess, we'll be careful on what we say so it doesn't get kicked off YouTube. Watching stuff like that, how does it add value or any more worth to a person?
Well, I
You're
think we
seeing them.
live in y- yeah, I think we live in a world now. It's like it's just instant gratification. That's what we're taught. That's how it's you know, outlined for us. And it's like, you know, intimacy is I mean, I know when I was growing up, that was that was sacred. That's what I was taught, you know. And you don't just put out, whenever you're asked to. And it's like the best way it was ever described to me was by actually a good friend of mine, a mentor, lifelong mentor. I just talked to him the other day. Is that, there's laws just like gravity and things like that in this world that, there's, it's like there's rule. How do you describe it? There's rules for God because he put them in place. And he's like, God can't unone what has become one. And like, people with multiple partners, which, whatever, uh, you know, I'll speak for the both of us, there's been a few. And it's like, there's a spiritual tie between, let me back up. So I think the concept of, um, getting married early and having children early and just sticking it out, the reason why that's healthy and adds value is that you're able to pair bond with that person, through thick and thin. It's like, I mean, dude, I still have my vows, just not out of any kind of sentimental value at all. It's more of a stark reminder of, what us as humans have become. There's like nothing is sacred, nothing is forever. Everybody's got options. Be your best self, and just, you just need to be happy and all this stuff. And it's like, when you have an experience like losing a parent or somebody really, really close to you, you're like, oh, like, this stuff is finite. And it's like, when it comes to like intimacy and things like that, in this like hookup culture, I think what happens, and it was like that when we were growing up. I think we were a little more, uh, op- I wouldn't say opaque, but like, we weren't like a bunch of, whores, we really did want relationships with these individuals. It was just, you know, times had changed. And this is an important, factor, is that, this hookup culture, we were just like, just hooking up with somebody, things like that. But then, you know, again, back to laws of nature, gravity, all that, it's, you're not really able to bond fully with somebody because you have so many different experiences, and I would say, because I do believe in spirit, I think you're spiritually divided amongst those people, even if you don't think about them. I think it's a far-fetched idea, but it is how I think. I think I think, remaining wholesome is important. And I think wholesomeness, yeah, I think it's embedded in our souls, by the creator. I mean, that's just, that's what I think. I think it's I don't think it's an innate, ability that we just know, like, oh, I shouldn't kill that guy because he took my hamburger, or whatever. But
I
I mean, you
agree.
shouldn't have that. Yeah, you shouldn't have that stuff in your heart. Like Solomon said a lot, and I'll stop and let you talk now. But it's like, nothing is new under the sun, right? And yeah, we're getting like news feeds, constant news feeds of like everything that's going on in the world, and Gaza and Ukraine, and North Korea and China and Russia hooking up, and like, it's like, but this has always happened. And it happened back in the ancient times. It's happening right now, but we just have it like shoved down our throats at every news feed. And it's yeah, so
It's
nothing's new under
unfortunate.
under the sun. Yeah, and but also Solomon said, above all else, guard your heart, because everything flows from it. I think that's beautifully written.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot you can take from it if you just actually read it and listen. which is a weird thing to kind of comprehend reading and listening, which I guess is what reading comprehension is. And I always had trouble with that in school because I would read, but I
Yeah,
would
me
think
too.
of something completely different. And I had a whole different movie going on in my brain as I'm reading some other story in school. Even it's because whatever I was reading wasn't interesting me. If I was reading a book that
Right.
actually caught my interest, then that was completely different. I was involved in it and making the story from it. But that was a hard thing to explain to a teacher. They're like, no, 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 that you've got problems. You need special ed then or something, you know? They're
Yeah,
like,
no,
you're
I had the same experience. I always remind people of um Van Gogh, poor, great painter, obviously. He cut off his left ear with a thing you shave with, the straight razor, cut off his left ear. God knows what he did, like wore a bandage over his ear for months, sent it to his first cousin because he loved her so much, and somebody decided they're going to write this down. My point is, it, it's okay to be different and weird, you know, but just do something with it. It's like, I mean, look at Tom York. That dude's weird as anything, you know, but he's a beautiful artist and human being. And I mean, I've never met him like, you know, one on one or anything, but it's you can just tell. I think
writing
it's a yeah, yeah,
and
it
everything.
is.
It's, I guess the
I
best way
love
to
how
say
he
it is
writes
in
in
his
haikus. Yeah, and he always uses like figures of speech and haikus. I love that.
Hail to the thief.
Yeah, yeah. Everything in its right place.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, we can go on about this for a long time, but I know we've got to cut it somewhere. But any
Yeah, I got to
final
get some
thoughts
sleep.
for this episode? Because my God, we haven't even touched on a fraction of the stories we've got together, and but
Yeah,
I've
I do
enjoyed them.
have final thoughts. I
All
think
right,
it's
any final thoughts?
I think it's complete bullshit that people sell boneless buffalo wings. No such thing.
It's kind of like what part of the chicken is the nugget? You know,
The
like,
whole chicken thing's jacked up for sure. It
yeah.
is
I mean,
yeah.
as you know, I have chickens. I've searched. Now, maybe there's rooster nuggets, but I didn't really search for those. But they don't call them that. So I look for the chicken nuggets and there's no nuggets. But there's definitely bones. And boneless chicken wings, how would they fly? You can't
Dude,
fly.
I had a friend which will remain nameless. We were driving through North Georgia and there's a lot of like chicken farms up there and just stinks to high heaven. And I remember leaning up through the two seats. He's driving, I forget who was in the other seat. And I was like, "Oh, that's where the boneless chicken farm is." And he's like, "What?" And we both know him well too. He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, I heard about this. This is where the boneless chicken farm is." And like it was complete belief that they were growing boneless chickens. It was amazing.
They came on next to the snipes.
Yeah, it was cute.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Ah, cool. Well, brother, thank you for having this conversation with me. Now I look
Yeah,
forward to the
hopefully you had some nuggets in there. I had some nuggets in there. You can't get rid of them.
but yeah,
Yeah,
to
man,
be
I
continued.
appreciate it. I'm gonna get some shut eye and go hang out with my brother and the rest of the family tomorrow. So, all
Right. You got it,
right,
bro.
dude.
Well, have a wonderful evening. And thanks again.
Night
And
night.
we'll see you
Keep your
around.
butthole tight.
See you, buddy.
Later, dude.